The monarch butterfly makes a seasonal migration to and from Mexico and southern Canada. The journey outlasts the lifespan of the butterflies, and so they lay eggs along the way and continue the migration over several generations. The north-south migration is effectively a straight line, the most efficient path between destinations being a straight line without deviation. But there is in fact a deviation in this route. An eastern turn over Lake Superior, which is corrected and rejoins the optimal route further on. As it turns out, geologists state there was a mountain in the Lake Superior region millions of years ago. So to summarize, a natural obstacle millions of years ago affects the flight path of a migratory species in present day, with the migration taking place over more than one generation and no ability to share this information among the generations which live and die throughout the trip. This is one of my favourite facts of the natural world, and I would like to give credit to Cool Ghosts with a link to an excellent video discussing the paranormal which originally brought this to my attention. It presents evidence of genetic memory that cannot be shared between members of a species due to the inability to communicate information. Although the information presented previously is a matter of scientific fact, at least in regard to the migration route, my interest in the paranormal has driven me to consider the implications of genetic memory in relation to a number of phenomena reported worldwide and experienced by almost every person alive today. This video was made possible by Skillshare. Over 18,000 premium classes are offered to top 5 Darkest followers as part of this trial. So if you're interested in learning a wide range of new skills, please use the link below to start your 2-month free trial today. There was a post online some time ago, that of phobias. Many people experience phobias on quite a broad spectrum, and when applying the idea of genetic memory, the topic of discussion becomes a bit weird. Arachnophobia, the fear of spiders, typically resulting in unease and panic when faced with the possibility or evidence of arachnids inhabiting an area. Ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes, characterized in much the same way as arachnophobia. Acrophobia, the fear of heights. The phobias listed previously are extremely common, and when mixed with the theory of genetic memory, one may suggest the following. Scaling human history way back to our evolutionary roots, you could state that phobias were genetic traits developed to ensure our survival. A fall from a great height would certainly be fatal before any kind of medicine and surgery was available. Almost every spider or snake was venomous, and a bite would ensure death as well. Early humans who developed an intense fear of these things would avoid them and secure a potentially longer life, therefore an evolutionary trait which benefits the survival of a species. Now, I am aware that this is an incredibly boiled down take on scientific theory, and there could well be many other suggestions which counter this discussion, but for the sake of discussion, I'll present the information that way. So, applying the same way of thinking to something like coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, things get a little more complicated, with the leading theory being that a clown's makeup stops the brain from recognizing a potential threat in the facial expressions of another person. A useful way to tell the intent of a stranger. That confusion leads to a default of fear, just in case. Further still, there are common traits in monsters within pop culture and media. As a rule, dark sunken eyes, a pale complexion, and an overly thin body are general attributes of something designed to instill fear in an observer. You could argue that these are simply traits associated with the corpse, death bringing with it disease and sickness in a time where we did not understand the relationship between decay, bacteria, and disease, meaning a fear of the dead would ensure the safety of someone who kept their distance. I'd like to share a recent nightmare I had, as it leads nicely into the discussion of genetic memory and dreams. I was trapped in a derelict hotel. Walls and floorboards were broken and decaying, natural light was absent as it appeared to be nearing evening, and I knew there was something else in the building with me, trying to find out where I was. As I ran, desperately trying to find my way out of the hotel, I became aware through the wonder of dream logic that the creature hunting me had determined my location, and was frantically rushing toward me. The creature was always behind me. I was barely keeping distance from it, and I was now aware of what it looked like. Essentially, it was a bipedal humanoid, half-rotted with its spine extending to a tail of vertebrae which gave it the look of a xenomorph from the Alien film franchise, but more of an undead human. As I ran into the sudden end of a hallway, the creature threw me to the floor and ran its tail through the middle of my back, pinning me to the floorboards and killing me. Now, as far as nightmares go, I'm sure many of you have experienced something similar, waking up as you would die in the dream, etc. but sometimes the dream extends a little further than that point. When the creature had taken me to the floor, I felt everything. The muscles in my back contorted to pull my shoulders back to a painful degree. I felt my spine sever at the point of entry, and felt the resistance of the creature's tail embedded in the floor beneath my chest as I strained against it. I, as well as many of you I'm sure, have had nightmares in which you've been injured, like a stab wound, a gunshot, or a great fall, etc. And perhaps you've experienced the sensation of those injuries before waking up. So keeping in mind the idea of genetic memory, how did your brain produce those sensations without prior experience? Until next time.